Welcome to Integrative Inquiry Week 1, Decreasing Stress and Anxiety.
Okay, so let's get started, inviting in a gentle attention to the body in the chair. So sensing the feet on the floor, seat in the chair, back upright, alert, yet relaxed. Maybe sensing the back against the chair or away from the chair. Noticing where your hands are placed, noticing the sensation of the hands, wherever they're placed. And bringing a gentle softening of the eyes, so either looking at this tree, looking down on something that's not moving, so it's as if you're looking but not really seeing. And then invite a gentle attention to the breast sensation in the belly, perhaps bringing a hand to the belly. Just noticing the gentle movement of the belly with each inhale and exhale. Just reminding yourself that you are here, you have arrived. Sensing the body in the chair, and the breast sensation in the belly. You are here. You intended to be here. You are here, and I am very grateful. And whenever you're ready, gently releasing your attention from the breast sensation in the belly, widening the eyes or opening them, just taking a moment to look at this image. Hopefully you're giggling. But let's just take a moment and think of one stressor, nothing huge that we experienced this last week, but just something where we experienced some stress. For me, my computer wasn't working, sensed a lot of stress. Just noticing where you might be noticing that in the body. And recalling what you did next. How did you deal with that stress? Did you bang your head against the wall? Did you smack your fist against the table? Did you reach for some chocolate or soda? How did you just react to that stress? Sort of just like a instant autopilot, experiencing stress. What do I do? What did you notice? And as you're noticing that, just offering some gentle kindness again to whatever you're noticing. Remember that you are not alone. That we all experience stress, even though our stressors may be different. The degree to which we're stressed may be different. The way we respond may be different or react. That all may be different, but you're not alone in experiencing stress. And you're definitely not alone if you're looking at the way that you experience stress and not being really pleased with the way that you handled the stress. I wasn't pleased. So as we think about that stress, let's just take a moment again to invite the body to anchor in the chair, remembering you are back here, right here in this moment. The body's in the chair, or you're standing. So maybe even press that seat into the chair, press those feet into the floor, and bring that hand to the belly. And if you're still feeling a lot of tension in the body, maybe even hold your breath. Hold it as long as you can. And then what happens next is a breath. And then we may all want to just take a big exhale for 4 counts. 3, 2, 1. Hold the exhale for 4 counts. 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4 counts. 2, 3, 4. Hold the inhale for 3 counts. 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4 counts. 3, 2, 1. Hold the exhale for 4 counts. 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4 counts. 3, 2, 1. Hold the inhale for 4 counts. 3, 2, 1. Exhale. It's a box breathing method, just a 4. So noticing what you're noticing now. Hopefully the memory of that stress disappeared, but maybe it's back now that I brought it up. This is the power of the mind. So basically, while the mind is incredibly powerful, the brain isn't that smart. So what happens when we experience a stress is that amygdala gets activated. Remember, this is the part of the brain that we can change through some focused attention, or can change through some focused attention. And the amygdala is typically responsible for fight, flight, freeze, or fornicate. I often make a joke about how this explains a lot of student behavior, college student behavior. But the truth is, when we are stressed, we might go to some of those behaviors. And what happens is, this is the survival part of the brain. So what it's doing is it's pulling offline the prefrontal medial frontal cortex. It's basically recruiting energy into just fight, flight, or freeze. And so this is why you might experience that sort of, I call it the deer in the headlights, like, oh my gosh, what's happening kind of thing. I don't know what to do. Or you might be like, I just got to get out of here, right? That's the flight. Or darn it, I'm going to hit the table, or punch my hand, or punch a cushion, or scream into a cushion. That's the fight, right? These are just normal reactions that are neurologically wired into our survival brain. Now, these are very important when it comes to matters of survival. But most of the time, most of us are not experiencing survival in the workplace. We just think we are. So for example, that text is really not life or death. That email is really not life or death. Those insulting words from that colleague, or the look they gave you, it's not life or death. It just feels like life or death. Are you tracking me? Yeah. So the brain is just going to go into survival mode because it doesn't know. And what we need to do is calm that reactive amygdala hijack, because we can't get our brain back when we're in fight, flight, and freeze. It just is still in survival. We're looking for a way to fight back, oh, don't look at me, don't ask me, don't call on me, or get me out of here kind of thing, right? Those are all survival. They're all normal. We can't change that. What we can change is noticing that reactivity. It's bringing a gentle, kind attention. Of course I'm afraid. Of course this feels like life or death, because I need my job, right? I need to keep my job, right? Of course it feels like this. We can bring a gentle, kind validation to noticing our experience. And then we can ground our body in the here and now. Maybe even take some movement with breath, and we'll explore this more in our next class. Taking some movement with breath, maybe even lifting my arm with an inhale, exhaling, or I'll take a mindful walk to the bathroom, counting how many steps I take with each inhale, counting how many steps I take with each exhale. Soothing that reactivity of the brain so I can bring back on my midline prefrontal cortex, midfrontal cortex, so that it can regulate and go, yeah, I'm not dying here. This isn't life or death. It just feels like life or death. What also is helpful here is if I can just name, ooh, fear, or name, ooh, maybe there's this particular name, like I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know what to do here. That can cause fear. Or the anxiety of like, that person doesn't like me, that person, maybe you're feeling something strong as like, that person hates me, or that person's out to get me. just naming what it is without going into the story of it, without buying into it, right? You're just naming what you're noticing. And then instead of going into the story about how that person is out to get to you, just go, ah, that's what's triggered. So you're just naming the trigger, right? You're noticing the trigger. You're noticing amygdala got hijacked. Yes, you're naming it. Fear, out to get me, need this job, I don't know how to do this, there's too many demands, there's not enough time, whatever it is, right? You're just naming it and just gently, sort of like, you can think about holding a gentle baby, like, this is fear, or a puppy, you have a puppy or a kitten or something like that, just holding it, so this baby, this tender life, that's the fear. You're just naming it. It's just tender. And then the brain will do its magic. It'll begin to regulate. It'll soothe. And so we ground, and we help that by grounding the body. This is why we always start with a grounding practice, grounding in the chair, pressing the feet into the floor, the seat, and bringing a gentle attention again back to the breath in the body, or movement breath. What happens here is when we can bring a gentle attention to the breathing, it correlates with almost an immediate reduction of stress indicators. This, again, is the body doing what the body is meant to do. Taking a focused breath soothes that amygdala reactivity somewhat immediately. And then you can begin to notice what else you're noticing. And as we do all of this, we want to just be really playful about it. It's not this whole, what am I noticing? What is this about? It's not like that, right? But it's just like a playful, like, wow, what is this? So you're not trying to fix anything. You're not trying to figure it out. You're just kind of stepping back, a gentle step back and saying, what is this? And you're offering a lot of grace, a lot of kindness, a lot of patience, a lot of self-caring. Of course, this is hard. Of course you're stressed, right? Who wouldn't be stressed? And we'll do some more self-compassion practices later in the class. Of course, so just a generous kindness to yourself. And a non-judging, not being stuck like, oh, I hate it when it happens. Oh, I hate it when he does that. Oh, I hate it when I do this. I hate it when I react that way, right? So just even noticing that, because the more we get into that critical, self-critical, or critical of other, the more we hijack up that amygdala again, right? The more it gets ramped up, and the more this shuts down. We can't get into creative problem solving. We can't get into noticing what our options are because we're just jacking ourselves back up. Right? Jacking that amygdala back up, hijacking ourselves. Remember that the amygdala won't differentiate between whether I hijacked it with I'm stupid, I told myself I'm stupid, that's an amygdala hijack, or somebody else hijacked it with you're stupid, Marilee, right? The brain doesn't know that. We have to stop, we have to ground, we have to breathe and notice, wait a minute. What is this? What is this? Noticing, self-critical. I'm being self-critical. I'm expecting a lot from myself. I'm hijacking my own amygdala. Let me anchor, breathe, and just, what is this? It's an gentle acceptance of, I got stressed out, right? Without accepting what caused the stress. Like, I don't have to accept that my computer stopped working when I needed it to work. I need to go fix it. But it doesn't help me to know exactly what to do if I'm angry at the computer, angry at myself for not taking better care of my computer or whatever, right? So gentle acceptance of what is without accepting what created it. We can take care of what created it in a moment, but not if our amygdala is hijacked. All right, so what we'll be doing, there are several guided practices. If you don't want to wait for class, you can go right into some guided practices to decrease stress and anxiety. And there's some grounded practices and some focused breathing practices and some focused movement with breath practices. But we'll begin practicing those. And as you practice those in class, we'll ask you to do a lot of noticing what you're noticing. What are you noticing as you anchor the body in the chair or standing? As you bring a gentle attention to the breath sensation in the belly, even bringing And to the belly, what are you noticing? And then I'll be asking you, how might knowing about the breath during stress triggers be useful? How might that be useful in your job? So just thinking about that as we go through this next week. All right, so as we move through this next week, I'm going to be bringing in some formal practices and some informal practices. So remember, there are two sections to your learning management system. One is guided audio practices. Those are the formal practices. And then there's some informal practices. These are, you can do these anytime. You can take a focused breath anywhere, anytime. You can bring a full attention to walking or breathing and counting how many steps you take with each inhale, counting how many steps you take with your exhale. You can bring your full attention to eating, brushing your teeth, hugging a friend, listening, just about anything. And then there'll be some formal practices that I'll invite you to do when you go into your office. Just ground yourself into your chair or into a meeting. Take one focused inhale or exhale. Bring your hand to your belly if you'd like. You can start to bring some focused attention to your movement. And movement with breath, as we mentioned, walking. Or maybe you have a yoga practice or a Tai Chi practice or a Qigong practice, running, cycling. Lots of weightlifting, people bring a focused movement with breath. So many of the movement practices they already have, so you can integrate this. And then there'll be a 2-minute journal exercise that I'll invite you into. Again, that's optional. Remember, I just want to remember that you can watch these videos and not engage in the exercises. Watching, just like reading a book about exercise, doesn't change your muscles, right? Reading a book about nutrition doesn't change what you put into your mouth. We actually have to engage in the exercises of doing that. So our stress takes our takeaways for this week: decreasing stress and anxiety. Amygdala hijacks can happen anywhere, anytime when stress is experienced. When you experience fight, flight, or fear, or freeze, it's analytical reasoning, problem solving, thoughtful prioritizing decisions, that kind of action doesn't occur. You actually need to begin to soothe that amygdala hijack, that normal, it's not your fault, this is a part of being human, being wired for survival will always take precedence, right? So we need to begin to bring attention. Ooh, I got triggered. I got triggered. Bring in attention with kindness, ground, breathe, and begin to soothe so we can see what's possible. Okay? And these are the practices that allow us to do that. All right. So questions or comments, please post them to the discussion board or email me directly. I'm happy to be of service. And I look forward to seeing you in class. Make sure you can come, and hopefully you come, connect with your buddy, talk about this content if you like, or practices you're practicing. Post your questions on the course site, and again, we practice that focused breathing daily. And silently naming what you notice with one word, just silently, like, fear. Like when my computer stopped working, what I noticed was fear, like fear that I can't get the work done, fear that I won't meet the deadlines, fear that I can't get anything done, that I'll get in trouble for missing deadlines, all this fear, right? It was like, So stop the story, ground, breathe, what are my options? All right, and again, we mentioned the journal assignment, and there's a weekly poem for you to reflect on. All right, look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.